Welcome to the AI Checkpoints. Before we dive in, just a quick disclaimer. This content is generated by AI. Okay, so today we're digging into the September 2025 Anthropic Economic Index report. It's this huge look at AI adoption, globally and inside companies. Gives us a real-time snapshot of what's happening. Our goal here is pretty simple. Figure out the key patterns in how AI is spreading, and maybe more importantly, find those bottlenecks that are shaping what comes next.
Yeah, and if there's one big theme jumping out from this whole report, it's really two things. The incredible speed, but also this deep, immediate concentration.
Right, that speed statistic really caught my eye too. We're not talking slow burn here, are we?
No, not at all. I mean, we often try to compare AI to older tech, but honestly, the pace is just different. The report says in the U.S., 40% of employees are now using AI at work.
40%.
Yeah, and that's basically doubled since 2023. Just 2 years. Think about electricity that took, over 30 years for widespread adoption?
Decades, yeah.
And the internet, which felt super fast, took around 5 years to hit the kind of adoption AI's managed in just 2. It's just unprecedented.
Okay, hyperspeed adoption, got it. But you mentioned concentration. Where are we seeing that focus early on?
Well, it's really showing up in 2 main areas right away. First, specific tasks where there's immediate value. Second, specific geographic areas that are just primed for it.
And we need to watch that concentration.
Definitely, because that's what's starting to define the early winners and losers in this whole shift.
Okay, let's start with the consumers then. The report looks at Claude.ai usage over 8 months. What are people actually doing with it?
So coding is still the biggest chunk, yeah, around 36% of tasks. But what's really interesting is the shift. We're seeing a big move towards knowledge work.
Knowledge work? Like what?
Things like educational tasks, they surged quite a bit. Scientific applications climbed too. People are starting to treat these models less like simple tools and more like specialized partners for learning or research, not just fixing code bugs anymore.
That makes sense.
And even within coding, the nature of the tasks changed. The report points out this shift from just fixing things to actually creating new stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, new code creation more than doubled in importance, while debugging actually fell. It suggests the models are getting more reliable, right? So users can do more complex creative work in one go. They're not just cleaning up AI mistakes, they're building things.
Okay, so people are using it for more creative, knowledge-based tasks. How are they interacting with it? Is that changing too?
Massively.
Yeah.
This is maybe one of the most critical points in the whole report. It talks about this jump in collaboration style. They draw a line between augmentation, where you work with the AI, iterating, learning.
Right, back and forth.
Exactly. Versus automation, where you basically just tell the AI, do this whole task for me, delegation.
And that distinction matters because
Because it tells you a lot about potential labor market impacts. Think about it.
Okay, so what's the trend?
The trend is a big jump in automation. The share of these directive conversations where users just delegate went from about 27% up to 39%.
Wow, so for the first time, automation is actually bigger than augmentation for consumers.
Precisely. People are increasingly choosing to just hand off the task rather than collaborate.
So what does that mean? Displacement risk.
It definitely signals that, if a task can be easily delegated to AI, the person doing that task, historically, might be at risk. But the flip side is it could also mean higher wages and more demand for people who get really good at managing these AI workflows.
So it's about adapting.
It seems like it. The benefits might flow to those who manage the tech, not those who are sort of competing directly with its automated functions.
Okay, let's shift from individual use to the bigger picture, the geography. The report has this AI usage index, the AUI.
Right, the AUI. It measures Claude.ai use relative to a region's working age population, so it adjusts for size.
And the finding is?
Stark. AI usage is absolutely not evenly spread. It's intensely concentrated, and it lines up really strongly with national income. Wealthier places are using it way, way more per person.
How much more? Give us some examples.
Okay, get this. Israel leads the world. Their AUI is 7 times what you'd expect based on their population share.
7 times.
Yeah. Then you've got Singapore at about 4.6x, Australia over 4x. Now compare that to emerging economies. India is at 0.27x, Nigeria around 0.2x. Huge gaps.
That feels significant for global inequality, I mean. We've seen developing countries catching up in recent decades, right? Convergence.
Exactly. There were strong convergence trends. But if these big early productivity gains from AI are all piling up in these high adoption, already wealthy economies, Well, it suggests that divergence, the gap widening again, might be back on the table.
Oof. And does what they use it for differ too?
Absolutely. And this kind of deepens that worry. Lower adoption countries, they're overwhelmingly focused on coding. Like in India, coding is over half of all usage. Probably reflects outsourcing, things like that.
Okay.
But in the high adoption places, Israel, Singapore, etc., you see much more diverse use. Education, science, specialized business stuff, they're applying it much more broadly.
Let's zoom into the U.S. We lead in total usage, obviously, but what about that per capita AUI? Where's the concentration here?
It's fascinating. Washington, D.C. actually leads at 3.82x. Then Utah, surprisingly close behind, at 3.78x.
Ahead of California, really?
Yep, both significantly ahead of California, which is often seen as, ground zero for tech.
Mm-hmm.
California's at 2.13x. Still high, but not the top.
So it's not just about having a big tech sector.
Apparently not entirely. It seems to be more about the type of economy in a region. The usage patterns match local industries almost perfectly.
Like how?
Well, D.C. shows high use for things like document editing, career assistance makes sense for government, policy work, right? California, yeah, it's IT-focused. Utah shows strong financial services use. Florida leans into business services. The AI is being plugged directly into the existing economic engines.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's something interesting you mentioned earlier. Globally, consumers are leaning towards automation, right? Delegation.
Yeah, that was the overall trend.
But you're saying that geographically, the high adoption countries, the ones using it most intensely per capita, they actually lean more towards augmentation, collaboration, and learning.
That's right. Even when you control for the types of tasks they're doing. Low AUI countries tend towards automation dominance. High AUI countries prefer augmentation.
Why would the most advanced users prefer collaboration? Isn't the end goal automation?
It suggests something important, I think. Maybe the most complex, sophisticated, high-value tasks actually require human collaboration. You can't just delegate them fully. Automation might be great for simpler, maybe catch-up efficiency gains, which you see more in lower AUI regions. But pushing the frontier, doing really complex stuff, that seems to need the human in the loop, iterating, guiding. It points towards a higher complexity ceiling for augmentation.
That's a really neat insight, and it's a perfect segue into the business side, the enterprise adoption using the API data. This is how businesses are plugging Claude in programmatically, right?
Exactly. This isn't individual consumers chatting. It's businesses integrating AI into their systems.
So if consumer use is concentrated, how concentrated is this enterprise use? More specialized. Significantly more specialized. And much more tilted towards automation. Comparing API use to consumer use, nearly half, 44% of the API traffic is computer and math tasks. That's way higher than consumers.
Okay.
Office and admin tasks are also higher via API. It just reflects that programmatic use is targeting structured, systematic things, often back-office processes.
And that preference for automation we saw starting with consumers, it's even stronger here.
Dramatically stronger. We said roughly half of consumer chats showed automation patterns. For the API, it's a massive 77%.
77%.
Yeah. It tells you very clearly what the early business strategy is. Delegate, automate, systematize. It's less about individual employee learning, more about large-scale task execution.
Okay, systematic deployment. That brings up cost. For businesses, cost is usually king, right? You'd think they'd go for the cheapest AI tasks first.
You'd think so. But the report finds the complete opposite. The most expensive tasks, the ones that cost more per query, tend to have the highest usage. Wait, really? Why would they prioritize the costly stuff?
It's one of the most interesting findings, I think. It basically says capability trumps cost, at least for now. The economic value they get from successfully automating a really complex, high-value task is just so much greater than the marginal cost of the AI call.
So getting the job done, even if it's expensive, is worth more than saving pennies on simpler tasks.
Exactly. They found price sensitivity is actually pretty weak. Like a 1% cost increase only led to about a 0.3% drop in usage frequency. They're willing to pay for performance on the tasks that matter most.
Okay, capability over cost. But chasing that capability for complex tasks leads to a problem. You mentioned bottlenecks earlier.
Yes, it leads directly to what the report calls the context bottleneck.
The context bottleneck, explain that. What does it look like?
So to get AI to do these really sophisticated, valuable tasks, you need to give it a lot of context, meaning you'd have to feed it really long, detailed inputs, data, documents, background info from the business. But it's inefficient. The report shows that for every 1% increase in the input length, the context you feed in, you only get about a 0.38% increase in the useful output length.
Ah, diminishing returns. You have to shovel in massive amounts of information just to get a proportionally smaller synthesized result.
Precisely. You need huge inputs for complex outputs.
And the implication for businesses is huge.
Massive. If your company doesn't have its data ducks in a row, if you lack centralized, digitized information to feed in as context, you face this major bottleneck. You simply can't deploy AI for the most sophisticated, valuable tasks.
You can't leverage the high capability functions because you can't provide the necessary input fuel.
Exactly. And this points to a potentially crucial new role for people.
How so?
Well, who holds that context, especially the messy, unwritten stuff? Experienced workers, people with that deep, tacit organizational knowledge, how things really work, where the bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking, they might become essential complements to AI.
The context providers, they bridge the gap between the AI's potential and the company's messy reality.
Could be. They hold the keys to unlocking that context needed for the most advanced AI applications.
So wrapping this up, the big picture from this Anthropic report is speed and concentration, right?
Definitely. Lightning speed, but very concentrated gains in wealthy countries, in specific tasks, and leaning heavily towards systematic automation in businesses. And that concentration, especially lining up with income, carries real risks for increasing inequality, both globally and maybe even within organizations.
And the labor market implications seem complex, not just simple replacement.
No, it seems more nuanced. The data suggests experienced workers, the ones holding that crucial tacit knowledge for the context bottleneck, might actually see their prospects improve. They become key AI enablers.
Well, entry-level workers.
They might face tougher prospects, potentially competing more directly with the simpler automation tasks that are rapidly scaling up. It suggests a real shift in the value of different types of skills and experience.
It really makes you think about organizational design, doesn't it? And how we even train people going forward. If the highest value shifts towards managing context rather than just executing tasks, that's a different world. Hit like and subscribe if you like the content. See you next time.